What's up, everybody? This is your boy Chainsaw. Boy, this has been a long time coming. I mean, a long time coming. An alternative title for this video could be State of the State Part 3, for those of you who've been watching the channel. You saw my first video on the hardcore truth about unemployment, or the hard truth about unemployment. You've seen my State of the State videos, and you kind of know some of the backstory about my interactions with some of these other activists, right? But I digress. Listen, we've got a seriously lot to unpack in this video, so let's just jump right into it. Firstly, the Associated Press on Monday reported that Missouri lawsuit seeks reinstatement of jobless benefits. Lawyers for Missouri residents who have had their federal unemployment benefits cut when Mike Parson pulled out the programs in June are asking court for reinstatement with back pay. Okay, so that was reported on Monday. The actual lawsuit, or the hearing rather, happened on Tuesday. So let's just jump into that real quick. This was reported by KY3, the place to be. So let's take a look here. Missouri Jobs with Justice Group reacts after federal unemployment benefits not reinstated. Uh-oh. Bad deal. There's a video, but we'll get right into it. So Circuit Court in Jefferson City sided with Governor Mike Parson in a ruling on Tuesday, refusing to reinstate federal unemployment benefits that were cut in June. Federal unemployment benefits, which were established to help people through the COVID-19 pandemic, ended for Missouri June 12th. However, the federal government is not scheduled to end until Labor Day. So these folks got until Labor Day. A group called Missouri Jobs with Justice filed a lawsuit last Monday in an effort to reinstate federal unemployment benefits. The group is still evaluating what options it has in court. We'll get into that. However, a spokesperson for Missouri Jobs with Justice say through their American Rescue Plan, cities can dish out money to people for assistance. He says the next best step is to reach out to your local elected officials. Great. There are people who have health conditions, their own or their immediate family, that make returning to work dangerous, said Richard von Glahn, a policy director for Missouri Jobs with Justice. It's estimated that 53,000 Missourians received these federal benefits before the governor ended them. 37,000 people who wouldn't qualify for regular unemployment. And again, we already went over this in previous videos. They were ended abruptly. They were ended for no reason. Obviously, because the unemployment is still, jobs have not been, taken up, as the governor cited when he first decided to pull the plug on this programs, and unemployment is virtually the same as it was back then. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, I didn't just pull you together to make a video talking about how, this group had put together a lawsuit and failed in court, right? No, we're going to dive a little bit deeper. We're going to dive a hell of a lot deeper. So firstly, the governor had cited the hiring labor crisis, right, as to his reasons why he needed to cut unemployment, get Missourians back to work, right? That was back in May. It's freaking September. It obviously didn't work. And the jobs report that came out today, federal jobs report, not for the state, if that's any indication. Now, we've seen in the state jobs reports that have come out since then, for May, June, July, August, obviously, is going to be coming out this month. We've seen a massive surge of retail jobs and hospitality. So, like, if you dig working at McDonald's, they got you. They so got you. Not a knock on McDonald's or McDonald's employees, but there is a certain faction, probably people who would agree with the governor in cutting these unemployment benefits, who don't believe that service industry and hospitality jobs are actually real jobs. They call them, I think, entry-level jobs, made for kids, not for adults, and that's why they don't pay so well. But that's their argument. So let's just jump right into this. So we went over how the lawsuits failed, right? The judge, I guess, decided that he would not rule in Governor Parson's stead, right? So basically, as if it were a decision that a judge could make, right? I mean, when you take a lawsuit to court, basically what they're trying to do is find the fact of law. And since this is a civil court, it's not common law, it's not really based on case law. It's based on what the law says. This is going to be something that's statutory, right? Because it's based on state law, so statutory. So it's going to be based specifically on something that is in the legal system, something that is in the legislature, that was passed by the General Assembly, signed by, the position of governor, and is now law at the state level. Okay, no case law. That's not really how this works. And since this has never been done before, none of this has ever been done before, there's really no case law to go back on, right? But for that, to research, because I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a CPA. I'm just some guy who isn't wearing a tie and who didn't button his shirt right today, but we'll move on. So being that this is a civil case, I actually took the liberty to research a little bit of case law, as it were, just based on other states that had also filed similar suits and won to reinstate their unemployment benefits. And I found some things that may grab your attention. So let's just jump right back into that. Let's see here. Missouri revised statutes. And you can find this information. It's all public information. It's at revisor.mo.gov, revisor.mo.gov, for those who need a little help with the reading of the English. So Chapter 288 discusses unemployment insurance, essentially the creation of the Department of Labor's unemployment programs, right? So we're looking at Title of Law. It's 288.010, Title of Law. And this will describe the purpose of unemployment, insurance, right? This chapter shall be known and may be cited as the Missouri Employment Security Law. Ta-da! Way back in 1951. Wow. So public policy declared construction of law as a guide, and keep this in mind because this is very, very crucial. As a guide to the interpretation and application of this law, the public policy of this state is declared to be as follows. Economic insecurity due to unemployment is a serious menace to health, morals, and welfare of the people of this state, resulting in a calamity. The legislature therefore declares that in its considered judgment, the public good and the general welfare of the citizens of this state require the enactment of this measure under the police powers of the state for compulsory setting aside of unemployment reserves to be used for the benefit of persons unemployed through no fault of their own. This law shall be liberally construed to accomplish its purpose to promote employment security, both by increasing opportunities for jobs through the maintenance of a system of public employment offices and by providing for the payment of compensation to individuals in respect to their unemployment. Okay. Now, a similar clause is actually cited in the state of Arkansas for their court case, actually. Let me pull this up. I don't have it on screen for you here, but let me see if I can pull this in. Oh, it's going to be over here. This is Arkansas Code 11-10-102. Their clause simply says, as a guide to the interpretation and application of this chapter, the public policy of this state is declared to be as follows. Economic insecurity due to unemployment is a serious menace to the health, morals, and welfare of the people of this state. Involuntary unemployment is a subject of general interest and concern, which requires appropriate action by the General Assembly to prevent its spread and to lighten its burden, which may fall with crushing force upon the unemployed worker and his or her family. The achievement of social security requires protection against this hazard of our economic life. Obviously, it goes on from there. So that was actually the code that during the lawsuit in Arkansas for their unemployment, was it Pulaski County Circuit Judge Herb Wright had ruled in favor of the plaintiffs and actually cited that code himself, being that this provision, as well as others, indicates to the court that the state legislature has clearly stated its public policy. Wright's ruling states the clearing the clearing meaning of Arkansas law in this regard is that the state is to participate in these types of programs for the benefits of the citizen. So there's that. So on-off indicators. This is making reference specifically to extended benefits. So these would be the benefits that were provided by the federal government that were the reason that Governor Mike Parson had wanted to shut down unemployment, right? So on-off indicators, state and national, how determined, extended benefits defined, amount, how computed. All right, so let's jump on down to the on indicator. There is a state on indicator for this state for a week if the director determines, in accordance with the regulations of the United States Secretary of Labor, that for the period consisting of such week and the immediately preceding 12 weeks, the rate of insured unemployment not seasonally adjusted under this law equaled or exceeded 120% of the average of such rates for the corresponding 13-week period, ending in each of the preceding 2 calendar years. So, wow. Unemployment's off the chain, we turn it on, right? So what about the off indicator? Well, let's take a look. There is a state off indicator for this state for a week if the director determines, in accordance with the regulations of the United States Secretary of Labor, that for the period consisting of such week and the immediately preceding 12 weeks, the rate of uninsured unemployment not seasonally adjusted under this law was less than 120% of the average of such rates that the corresponding 13-week period ending in each of the preceding 2 calendar years, or was less than 4%, 5% for weeks beginning after September 25th, 1982, except there shall not be an off indicator for any week in which an on indicator, as contemplated in subparagraph B of paragraph A of the subdivision 2 of this subsection exists. So the off indicator goes off, as it were, when there's less than 120% of the average of such rates for the corresponding 13-week period ending in each of the preceding 2 calendar years. And everybody turned off YouTube just then, right? Okay, so the good news is, I know it's a lot to swallow, but I already did some math for you. Unfortunately, they are making reference here, and I just didn't feel like doing all that shit, okay? So forgive me. But they're making reference to not seasonally adjusted, which is kind of a bunch of baloney, because if you're not including seasonally adjusted, then you're not really, I mean, you're getting the true unemployment, but you're not getting a good average. And since they are looking, you know, if you're looking for unemployment rate as it stands today, right now, not seasonally adjusted is great. If you're looking for an average based on, I don't know, the averages of the previous 13-week periods of the previous 2 years, not seasonally adjusted is probably not the best way to go about that, but I digress. Anyhow, I already did the math on that for seasonally adjusted, and again, it's making reference to weeks. I went to Fred, okay? That's, if you don't know about Fred, Google it, okay? If you're not using Fred yet, Fred is just the Federal Reserve economic data. You can find out just about anything you need as far as statistics, charting from well, things like Missouri unemployment rate, the MOUR, right? But in this case, I went to Fred and pulled up the MOUR, and they have it obviously based on months, but you can go to Coifin Terminal and pull up weeks. I just didn't, because I didn't give a shit. I'm not really trying to do all that math, but pulling up for the weeks, which would be consistent with at least 12 weeks in that previous time. And again, you could do the math if you want to. I'm just giving a rough estimate here, and I am giving the seasonally adjusted rate, despite the fact of what they're looking for. So ballpark, okay? They're talking about less than 120%. It doesn't matter anyway, because they're asking for less than 120% of the average such rates for the corresponding 13-week period in each of the preceding 2 calendar years. Doesn't really matter how I did the math, because the math that I did is a little bit closer to 80%. So it does fit the bill for subsection A. Okay? It's well within that 120%. Seasonally adjusted. Okay? I would be astounded if not seasonally adjusted, it were any more than that. But again, do the math yourself. Go to Fred, check it out. Okay. Now they also make reference to, or or rather, and it was less than 4%, 5% for weeks beginning after September 25th. Okay, so again, if you look at Fred, the unemployment was never below 4%. The lowest it had gotten was at 4.1%, and that was the data that we'd gotten from the previous month in April, and that was the month that Governor Parson had actually made his public, because it makes reference at the end of this section also, that his job essentially is to make the public announcement that they'll be ending the extended benefits also. So when he did, it was under the assumption that the following month would be below that 4%. So we've beat that 120%, obviously, by a lot, but we weren't under 4%. Now, that's just if they decided to use the on-off indicator with that regard. So that's a thing. Moving on. So then there's this, bro. And this is the one that should really just kick you right in the pants and piss everybody off. Party of Law and Order? Are you freaking kidding me? So let's just jump right into this. And this is the same, this is a similar statute and clause that the state of Indiana had used to overturn their governor's decision to cut their benefits. Because the freaking state already declared that you don't have the right to do that. Cooperation with the federal government and sister states. In the administration of this law, the division shall cooperate to the fullest extent consistent with the provisions of this law with the United States Department of Labor. Shall make such reports in such form and containing such information as the Secretary of Labor may from time to time require, and shall comply with such directives as the Secretary of Labor may from time to time find necessary to assure the correctness and verification of such reports, and shall comply with the regulations prescribed by the Secretary of Labor governing the expenditures of such sums as may be allotted and paid to under to this title under Title III of the Federal Social Security Act, 42 USCA Section 501. All right, and so basically, Missouri state law is referencing cooperation with the federal government. We have to cooperate with the federal government in order to ensure other cooperation with the federal government. I mean, if the governor is legally capable of simply cutting unemployment benefits, he also would be legally capable of just cutting Social Security benefits. And that's A, a slippery slope, but B, very, very much not a thing, just like unemployment, which is why states across the country who have filed suit against their governors have had these cases, or had these orders overturned through the courts, because they are just clearly unconstitutional. They violate state law, and they violate federal law, which ensures their use. So again, cooperation with federal government and sister states Missouri Employment Security Law. It's a guide to the interpretation and application of this law. The public policy of this state is declared to be as follows. Economic insecurity due to unemployment is a serious menace to health, morals, and welfare of the people of this state, resulting in a public calamity. Calamity. It was written in 1951, bro. So definitely something to think about. I mean, what more is there to say? If you're on the fence on this, or if you disagree from the moral implications, that's fine. If you think that the unemployed are just a bunch of bums who, are just trying to use the government to say it to what's the phrase, to tool the system. I don't know, like Jeff Bezos or Walmart or Donald Trump or anybody who, I'm not saying that to be a slam to Donald Trump. He works in real estate and he's very, very good at it. and he's very successful in real estate. The only way that happens, I don't give a shit who told you otherwise. The only way that you are successful in real estate, period, is by knowing the system and tooling that shit. The only way that you're successful in business in general is by knowing what you can and can't do and taking advantage of the systems in place. This is why people who invest typically are in a much better situation than people who don't invest. You know, whether you work a day job or not. So that's actually a compliment to Donald Trump before all the, QAnon folks decide that they want to come and, put me up there next to Mike Pence, okay? Not cool, bro. But no, as a real estate mogul, I mean, the guy obviously knows his stuff. He keeps, company of the such like Robert Kiyosaki, and for good reason, because these guys know how to work the system. So if you think that poor people shouldn't be working the system, that's another, you got your own demons to deal with, but that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to show that whether you like it or I like it, or you're right or you're wrong, or I'm right or I'm wrong, clearly the law says what the law says. And the governor did what he did, and the judge decided he would interpret the law however the hell he wanted to. So, I guess that just is one more nail in the coffin for the old cronyism here at the state of Missouri. I mean, it doesn't matter where you go, whether it's a local level, your county level, all the way up in Jefferson City. Cronyism is the word of the day. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. If you like this kind of content, definitely subscribe to my channel, because Lord knows I'm hurting for subscribers. Don't forget to get your 2 free stocks with Weeble. I got that. 2 free stocks with Weeble. Go to chainsawccc.com/Weeble. Open up an account. It's $5. Weeble send you 2 free stocks. They're worth some cash. They're probably trash. Sell them and get out with your ass. chainsawccc.com/M1. Start an account, deposit $100. M1 will send you $50, bro. At least, it's a 50% ROI, even if it is just short change, right? But definitely hit me up on Twitter if you like this kind of content. If you don't like this kind of content, hit me up anyway, bro. And yeah, man, we'll see you then.